Welcome back to Authentic Inspiring. Today we have a special guest, Chuck. Eh,
Hey.
Chuck on our show today to share a little bit of his story about his running with addictions and recovery and now where he's at in life. So, welcome, Chuck, on Authentic Inspiring. You're
Yeah.
going to be our Autumn guide today.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to talk to you today about your story and how you got into your addiction. So, I want to start by tell us a little bit about your life and your background growing up.
I came from a single parent home. My mother was deep in her addiction. She was alcoholic. She was smoking opiates. She was, she tried to be the best mother she could, but
Yeah,
it's just some things we can't handle.
yeah,
So yeah, I grew up with her, like off and on, with her and my grandma. Um, as a little kid, I had to grow up fast because of things that I seen. I ended up running away from my mom from the age of 9,
yeah.
until now. I
Wow.
never went back home, but yeah, it's, all the violence and verbal abuse and just a lot of just growing up poor. Just
Yeah,
not having nothing in the refrigerator besides my mom's uh, Slim Fast, drinks. I had to drink that
yeah.
as Kool Aid, whatever, the Pedialyte for Kool Aid. Just it was a real poor home. Just trash everywhere. Laundry room was filled up to like maybe halfway to your knee. I had to grow up. Trying to get the cleanest clothes out of the laundry room. Going to school smelling like mildew.
Yeah,
Combing my hair with a fork.
yeah.
It was really bad, but I I got through it.
You got through it and you're
Yeah.
here today, right? So, Chuck, for you, when did substance use start with you? How old were you?
Substance. I was 9.
9 years old. What were
Yeah.
you using?
I was well. That's when I first took a drink. Um, I was with my cousins. They mixed Budweiser and Bacardi Dark 151 together, and they gave it to me.
Wow. How old were you?
I was 9,
Wow.
and at the age of 11, I started using marijuana, and maybe like the age of 13 was like cocaine,
Yeah.
yeah, and it just kind of progressed from there.
Yeah. Such a young age. What were some of the most darkest, like if I would have to say, like the most darkest, most painful times of your addiction?
Um, I would say, oh, the one that sticks out is just back in 2008 when I seen my cousin that I grew up with, share a room with, clothes, everything's like a brother to me. He committed suicide in the back seat of a car I was in. Just traumatized me there.
Wow.
Just because like smelling his burnt skin, hair, and his brains coming out of his head and falling onto his lap. It really hit me bad right there, and I started going deep into depression. I got PTSD from it.
Oh.
Started using more heavier drugs, and just started spiraling out of control.
Wow. What were some of the addictions you were in? Like what substances were you using?
Well, first it was like meth, PCP. It was mainly just PCP. Um, I did have an option to try heroin, but I couldn't do it. But it was just mainly just PCP, and just I couldn't just I was willing to try anything, just to take
Yeah.
it away, but take the pain away. But I was like that for years, because I never thought about dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How old are you?
Right now I'm 41.
41. How many years of those 41 years would you say you were using? Was it like since you were 9?
Yeah,
Wow. So what? 10, 39 years.
yeah.
Wow, that's a long time. It's a long time. So what led you, Chuck, to a turning point of sobriety? Like
Um,
what was your turning point?
my turning point was just seeing myself spiraling out of control. I had um, it's been a couple of years, but I had lost my kid's mom and my
Mm,
mother. But I had custody of my kids. I had an apartment. I had a truck. I had them going to school. I thought I was doing everything as a good parent, but it turns out I wasn't. I was still in my addiction of alcohol and meth, and I just ended up just falling real bad, and pushed my kids away. I treated them real bad, which I still regret, daily. But I lost everything. I pushed my kids away. I was homeless for a while on the south side of Phoenix, sleeping in alleyways, bus stops, dumpster
Mm,
diving, just anything that I could. But I knew one day I had to turn my life around, because I got tired of it. I tried so many times of committing suicide, trying to reach out for help, but sometimes I was just too proud to
yeah.
even homeless, I was just too proud of getting help. But I finally found JTR, and I haven't been back to the res in years, but I found JTR. It took me like about maybe 2 years to finally go
Yeah.
there.
Wow, that's so good. So what did the first steps look like for you? Like the first steps that you took for recovery look like?
Um, I think the main point is just getting over the anxiety and fear of change.
Mm,
Because like I said, I've been drinking and using drugs since I was like 9, 11 years old. But it's just accepting that I need to change and just having the courage to go through with it. Because nothing's gonna change without any action on my part.
yeah.
So I did the best that I could. I talked to one of my cousins. And they helped me out a lot, and I thank her very much for that. But I know with my addiction and my recovery, I had to do it by myself. I had to go in there and overcome my fears and just get myself right. Because I got
Yeah.
tired of just living in my addiction, and I knew being the only parent for my kids left. I had to change my life and give them something that I didn't have, which was a good parent.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was there emotionally and supportive. And everything that you could think of.
Yeah. Thank you. What has been the biggest challenge of getting sober? Like what has been your biggest challenge staying sober?
Um, I think it's just everyday stress. With paying bills, making the right decisions in that area of paying bills and stuff like that. Because I feel like I'm pretty solid in my sobriety, and I don't ever want to go back to drinking or using drugs. But it's just knowing that I'm self-aware and knowing what I'm putting myself through with
Yeah.
severe depression and PTSD. I
Yeah.
don't want to slip or anything like that. So I do my best to be self-aware, using coping skills, reaching out, try not to seclude myself. Because that's where I really don't want to fall at. I know there's a
Yeah.
possibility, but that's why I never say never.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so
Definitely.
so I do what I can, to stay positive, to do what I can.
Yeah. Would you say do you have temptations or triggers?
As much time as I have under my belt, yeah, I still have
Really?
them.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I said, just being self-aware and with those thoughts creeping in my head, and just how they say, one day at a time. If you're thinking about drinking, sleep on it, and by the next day, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, most definitely. Reaching out to those support systems,
Yes.
people that you know are going to, help you walk out of that.
Yeah.
So that's so good. So you talked about your children. You now have your children back in your life, right? How many
Yes.
kids do you have?
I have 3 daughters and 1 son.
Okay. So you have them back in your life. How has that impacted your recovery?
Man, that's it impacted it very much. What I mean, in such a positive way because just judging out the last time I had talked to them, which was when I was still in my addiction, and pushed them away, and they didn't talk to me for like a year or two. But that's I accepted that. I knew I wasn't a good parent. And I was trying my best to be, but we all fail. But as long as we keep getting back up and trying, that's all
Yeah,
that matters.
definitely.
But yeah, I mean, that's just the most beautiful thing in the world because I have 2 grandchildren
Oh,
from my 2 of my daughters, and it's just being happy and want to be that grandparent that doesn't smell like alcohol or
yeah.
beer. You know what I mean? Beer cans laying around and anything like that. I want to be that grandfather. That pushes his kids as well as his kids to do more things positive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Breaking those generational
Yeah.
curses that we grew up with, right? You
Yes.
talk about, your lifestyle, your mom, and whoever else in your life, and now you're striving to break that,
Yeah.
what you grew up in. And that's so important, like, breaking those generational curses, because you're showing your kids you don't have to live like this. And their kids now, your daughters, you're showing them,
Yeah.
how to be at a present parent to them. So now they're going to learn to how to be a present parent to their kids.
Yeah.
So that's so good.
Yeah.
So what would working, I want to talk a little bit about, are you working, where are you working at? I mean,
I'm
I know you're
working.
working, but
Yeah.
the audience don't.
But just working as a peer support for rural people health.
Nice.
But yeah, just only a peer support in the adult and family services side. So I like it very much. It's just I've been always like a helpful person throughout all my life. I've helped everybody else, my family, friends, anybody in general. But along the way, I forgot about myself.
Yeah.
And so that's me now. I do my best to do what's best for me.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. I would always say I was always a giving person,
Yeah.
but it was always the wrong things I was giving,
Yeah.
because like I'd be in my party mode, and like I'd always be that person that would be like, shots on me, or yeah, go ahead, come on. And it's like I always was giving, but I
Yeah.
was giving the wrong things. And now I'm a giver, like, time, you know, serving in a different way
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. So how does serving others help your healing?
Yes, it does. Because from where I came from, from my addiction, throughout my entire life, I know that I can relate to a lot of, our community, and it does make me happy and proud to see, the ones that I do help, come back in, for a session with a smile on their face, and they know that
Yeah.
they got a job, or they got into a home, or
Nice.
just know that they're progressing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just a great feeling. It puts a smile on my face and makes me happy to have the job that I have. It's
Yeah.
just happy to come to work, happy to do everything that
Yeah. Yeah. That's the blessing piece of it that you speak of, is just
Yeah.
knowing that, I'm going to come in, and today I might have a client that's not going to do well or not
Yeah.
doing well, but I might have that client that says, Chuck, guess what? And you're
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah.
and that's life now. That's what life is. So, let's talk about, what would you tell somebody who is currently struggling in the struggle, or maybe is out there in the struggle now and just don't know how to get what they need or get sober? What would you tell them?
Just to reach out, and just to give it a chance, step outside that comfort zone and know that positive change that you want for your life. It's just a phone call away, or just talking to somebody is just, that's all it takes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to get it started. You know what I mean? Knowing that you can conquer that fear of reaching out for help, when most of us don't really like doing that.
Yeah.
And so just breaking that glass wall right there, and just knowing that there's something out there better to be offered to you.
Yeah. 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 And being in the community, would you say, like, you grew up in the community, do you have your own um, circle of friends or old friends that you try to reach out to, or they reach out to you for help now?
Um, honestly, like my circle just consists of people I met within JTR, in my work. Because honestly, like most of the people that I've grown up with and friends and stuff like that, they're either in prison, or they're dead because of their addiction.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's where my severe depression, I think, kind of kicks in at, because I just felt so alone, bearing all my loved ones. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so just that much more wanting to get sober, because of that feeling. I didn't want to feel like that forever, because it hurt,
Yeah.
and I don't want anybody else going through that. So it's just I do my best to help out everybody that I can.
That's so good. That is so good. Well, Chuck, I want to thank you for coming. Is there anything you want to share that I haven't asked?
Um, just that sobriety is the greatest thing that you can ever have for yourself. And just
Yes.
putting down the drugs and alcohol. And it's always going to be there. But what's not always going to be there is just a sober, happy you. For your family. So just make that best decision and come on this side, to
Yeah.
sobriety. It's a lot of blessings.
Yes, amen. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I'm pretty sure you have a huger story,
Yeah.
but that was just a little bit of one side of you. And I want to just thank you for coming on and
Yeah. Thank you
sharing
for having
that.
me.
And thank you all for tuning in and listening to Chuck's story here on Authentic Inspiring. And if you or a loved one is out there suffering from your addictions or even mental health, drop it in the comment box. And, even if you're not here in where we're at, we'll definitely work to help you connect yourself with some resources where you're at. No matter what part of the states you're in, I'm definitely able to help you reconnect back with some resources. So thank you.